What if everything you were taught about money was incomplete? What if the reason so many intelligent, hardworking people struggle financially isn't because they lack effort, but because they were never taught the rules of the real game? Imagine two fathers. One tells his child, go to school, get good grades, find a secure job, and work hard. The other says, learn how money works. Learn how to make money work for you. Both men care deeply. Both want the best future possible, but their advice leads to two entirely different financial destinies. This is the tension at the heart of Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert T. Kiyosaki, a book that challenges conventional beliefs about wealth, education, job security, and financial success. It doesn't simply teach you how to make more money. It asks a more fundamental question. What do you believe about money, and who taught you those beliefs? Over the next moment, we're going to explore the core ideas of this book in depth. Not just what Kiyosaki says, but why he says it. We'll unpack the philosophy, the mindset shifts, the financial frameworks, and the psychological transformations he argues are necessary to build real wealth. This is not just a summary. It's a guided exploration into a different way of thinking about money. Let's begin at the foundation. Robert Kiyosaki introduces his story through the lens of two father figures in his life. His biological father, the poor dad, was highly educated, academically successful, and held a stable government job. He believed in formal education, job security, and climbing the professional ladder. His best friend's father, the rich dad, had little formal education, but became a successful entrepreneur and investor. He believed financial intelligence mattered more than academic intelligence. The book is built on this contrast. Kiyosaki argues that schools teach people how to become employees, but not how to build assets. They teach people how to earn income, but not how to generate wealth. And this distinction becomes the central thesis of the book. The rich don't work for money. They make money work for them. At first glance, that sounds like a motivational slogan. But Kiyosaki grounds it in a financial framework that underpins the entire book. The difference between assets and liabilities. According to him, the single most important financial concept you can learn is this. An asset puts money in your pocket. A liability takes money out of your pocket. That's it. Simple, clear, almost deceptively obvious. But then he asks a provocative question. If you bought a house, is it an asset? Most people instinctively say yes. We're told homeownership is wealth building. But Kiyosaki challenges that assumption. If your home requires mortgage payments, property taxes, insurance, maintenance, and repairs and it doesn't generate income, then by his definition, it's a liability. The distinction isn't about emotional value. It's about cash flow. And this is where the book shifts from motivational storytelling into financial strategy. Kiyosaki introduces the concept of the cash flow pattern. The poor, he argues, earn income from a job and spend it on expenses. The middle class earn income by liabilities they think are assets, like bigger homes and expensive cars, and remain stuck in a cycle of earning and spending. The rich, however, focus on acquiring income-producing assets first. Those assets generate cash flow. That cash flow buys luxuries. This is a fundamental reordering of priorities. Instead of working to increase income to afford more expenses, the rich build assets that increase income passively. It's not about how much you make. It's about what you keep and what it produces. Kiyosaki then moves into what he calls the 5 financial lessons his rich dad taught him. The first lesson. The rich don't work for money. He recalls working as a child for his rich dad at a very low wage. He felt frustrated and underpaid. His rich dad used that frustration as a teaching moment. Most people, he argued, are driven by 2 emotions, fear and desire. Fear of not having enough money pushes people to work harder. Desire for nicer things pushes them to spend more. This cycle creates what he calls the rat race. People wake up, go to work, pay bills, incur more debt, then repeat the process indefinitely. The problem isn't income. The problem is emotional decision-making. The rich, according to Kiyosaki, learn to control their emotions around money. Instead of reacting with fear or greed, they ask strategic questions. How can I create assets? How can I structure this differently? How can I reduce taxes legally? How can I leverage systems? They treat money like a game of strategy, not survival. This brings us to the second lesson. Why teach financial literacy? Kiyosaki argues that most people know how to read words, but not financial statements. They understand income and expenses in theory, but not in practice. He emphasizes understanding three core financial statements: the income statement, the balance sheet, and cash flow. He argues that if you cannot read these statements, you are financially blind. The balance sheet shows assets and liabilities. The income statement shows income and expenses. Cash flow shows the movement between them. Wealth, in his model, is not measured by income, but by the ability to sustain your lifestyle without working. If your assets generate enough income to cover your expenses, you are financially free. This shifts the definition of wealth entirely. It's no longer about how big your paycheck is. It's about how long you could survive without one. The third lesson: mind your own business. This doesn't mean ignore your employer. It means focus on building your asset column. Kiyosaki argues that many people spend their entire lives working in someone else's business, without ever building their own. Your job pays your bills. Your business builds your wealth. Your business might be rental properties. It might be stocks. It might be intellectual property. It might be a company you build on the side. The key is ownership. He emphasizes that you should continue working but use that income to buy assets. Don't increase expenses with every raise. Increase assets. This is where delayed gratification becomes critical. The fourth lesson: the history of taxes and the power of corporations. Kiyosaki argues that the rich understand tax law in ways the average employee does not. Employees earn money, then pay taxes, then spend what's left. Corporations earn money, spend what they need to operate, then pay taxes on what remains. This difference creates leverage. He suggests that financial education includes understanding how businesses operate legally to minimize taxes. Now, this section is controversial for some readers, but the underlying principle is clear. Structure matters. If you don't understand financial systems, you remain subject to them. The fifth lesson: the rich invent money. This doesn't mean printing it. It means recognizing opportunities others don't see. Kiyosaki describes examples of buying undervalued real estate or investments during downturns. He emphasizes financial intelligence as the ability to identify, analyze, and act on opportunities. Opportunity, he argues, often looks like risk to the untrained eye. And this brings us to one of the deeper themes of the book: courage. Many people know what to do, but fear holds them back. Fear of losing money, fear of failure, fear of criticism. Kiyosaki identifies 5 common obstacles to wealth: fear, cynicism, laziness, bad habits, and arrogance. Fear keeps people from investing. Cynicism causes them to see every opportunity as a scam. Laziness disguises itself as busyness. Bad habits override discipline. Arrogance prevents learning. These aren't financial problems. They're psychological ones. And this is where the book becomes more than a money guide. It becomes a mindset manual. Kiyosaki encourages readers to continuously educate themselves financially. Attend seminars. Read books. Network with investors. Practice analyzing deals. He emphasizes learning by doing. He also introduces the idea of the 4 income quadrants, which he expands on in later work. Though not fully developed here, the seed is planted. Employees and self-employed individuals trade time for money. Business owners and investors leverage systems and capital. The goal is to move from the left side to the right side. But this shift requires more than money. It requires identity transformation. If you see yourself only as an employee, you will seek security. If you see yourself as an investor, you will seek opportunity. Now let's step deeper into the philosophy. At its core, Rich Dad Poor Dad challenges the belief that job security equals safety. Kiyosaki argues that true security comes from financial intelligence, the ability to create income in multiple ways. This idea connects to a broader human pattern: dependence versus agency. Are you dependent on a single employer, or capable of generating income independently? He also challenges the idea that education ends with school. Traditional education trains you for specialization. Financial education trains you for adaptability. And adaptability, in a changing economy, becomes more valuable than credentials. Now, to offer balance, it's important to acknowledge limitations. Some critics argue the book oversimplifies complex financial realities. The asset-liability distinction, while powerful for mindset, can ignore nuances like long-term appreciation of real estate. Others argue not everyone has equal access to capital or opportunity. These criticisms have merit. The book is not a detailed investment manual. It's a paradigm-shifting introduction. Its strength lies in reframing how you think about money, not in providing step-by-step technical instructions. And perhaps that's the point. Kiyosaki doesn't claim to hand you wealth. He claims to challenge your conditioning. So as we come toward the conclusion, let's revisit the central message. The difference between rich and poor is not income. It's mindset. It's education. It's behavior. It's whether you focus on assets or expenses. Whether you react emotionally or think strategically. Whether you seek security or build leverage. The book asks you to look honestly at your financial life. Are you building assets, or just paying bills? Are you working for money, or learning how to make money work for you? And perhaps the most powerful takeaway is this: financial freedom is not reserved for the elite. It's built through consistent, educated decisions over time. Small shifts compound. A book read, a seminar attended, a deal analyzed, a risk taken thoughtfully. Over time, these actions create transformation. So as you reflect on what you've heard today, consider this: if you continue on your current financial path, where will you be in 10 years? And if you adopt even one principle from this philosophy, building assets first, educating yourself financially, thinking differently about money, how might your trajectory change? We often inherit beliefs about money without questioning them. But the moment you question them, you begin to gain control. And perhaps that is the real lesson of Rich Dad Poor Dad. Not that money is everything, but that understanding money gives you options, and options create freedom. So the next time you earn $1, ask yourself, will this dollar build my asset column or my expense column? Because that simple decision, repeated consistently, determines far more than we realize. And that is where wealth truly begins.